What's your excuse? How you doing, YouTube? It's Will from Will Development, and this is my 99th weekly update. I'm going to talk fast, I'm going to go fast, because I got a lot to cover today. So, Monday, I believe I recorded my deficit deadlifts, went up to 265, felt pretty good on that day. Tuesday came in, went to the overhead press, the push presses, worked up to 125. I actually had 135 on the bar at one point, and I just went for it, and I felt pain, and it just was not working out. It was a bad pain. So when it comes to my overhead press, I'm going to work it slow and steady. Is going to win this race for me. I'm not going to risk getting injured anymore. Just going to keep pushing, getting stronger again, and working my way up slowly with that. Then yesterday ended up doing rack pulls, ended up getting up to 335. Wanted to pull 355 this week, but you know, I warmed up properly and I did a bunch of warm-up sets. Got up to 315 and pulled it for 2, rested, pulled it for 2 more, and I was just like, man, I am just feeling it today. You know, it was just how it was, and I think my nervous system's just worn out. But next week I'll work up to 355. I intend to get lots of rest this weekend, so next week's training sessions go a little bit better. Hopefully a lot better. I'll make sure they do. Let's put it that way. So, big shout out to all the Olympic weightlifters in the Olympics competing this week, as well as the wrestlers, the people who didn't get enough credit last Olympics but are finally getting some shout outs this year. Would also like to grease my own ass and say I told you all to watch those Chinese weightlifters. I knew they would be bringing packages that could be unstoppable, and what has happened? They are leading on the weightlifting medals at this point. As far as I know, they are leading. Last time I checked, which was last night, so it could have changed, I don't know. Good stuff from them. I'm pulling for America, don't get me wrong, but I gotta hand it off to the Chinese. They got some great drugs going into their weightlifters this year. Good training behind those drugs. But even more important than the Olympics, happening tomorrow is the World's Strongest Man event. Of course, there is no live video footage feeds of any of it broadcast on any major network as of this moment, and I do mean literally this moment at like 7:30 Eastern. There is just nobody talking about live video footage coverage, which is fine, because as long as you're on Trending Strongman or Starting Strongman, you will get some live updates from all the people, the great people that go there. I'm sure some people at the event will give some heads up to the respective pages, and so as long as you follow those 2 pages, I'm sure one of them will give you all the information you need as to who's going to make it to the finals and that sort of thing. My predictions, 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to guess, this is assuming all 3 of these guys make it to the finals, which is kind of a shoo-in, but you know, you never know. Brian, I believe, is going to win. I also want him to win. I believe second place is going to be Hafthor Bjornsson. I just believe he's going to get second, and I believe third place is going to be Eddie Hall. Now there are some people I've seen conversations online where people are saying that they believe Eddie Hall is going to win. Somehow they believe that he can beat Brian at World's Strongest Man. Now, this is a legitimate question for me, and I'm not trying to be an asshole or start a fight. I want an intellectual answer and conversation started about it. What evidence have you seen that makes you believe that Eddie Hall can beat Brian at World's Strongest Man? And if your only reply is a 500 kilogram deadlift, then my reply to you is it's World's Strongest Man, not World Deadlift Champions. So, in what way does being able to deadlift 500 kilos translate to being able to run with a 700-pound yoke on your back 60 meters in 30 seconds? You know what I mean? It just doesn't. And why do I mention that? Because that's Eddie's #1 fault, is the fact that he can't keep up when it comes to the moving events. In Britain, he does great, but look who he's going up against. He's going up against Lawrence Shahlaei. No offense to Lawrence, I love him to death. Trust me, I do love Lawrence. Ask my friends if I could talk about him. I think he's great. But he's not the greatest mover either. He's going against Mark Felix, who's Compared to normal people, Mark Felix is a god. Compared to top-level strongmen, he's 5th and 6th place in World's Strongest Man. So, you know, he's right there. And Terry Hollins, who's been competing for like 20 fucking years and is a great all-around guy, just period. He's actually better at the moving events than he is the static events most of the time. But he's up there now, you know? So that's who you're comparing him to in Europe and Britain. Then he comes to America and the best he can ever do is 4th when he's going against guys like Thor and Bryan. It's just that simple to me. And I have lots more to talk about, I have lots more thoughts on it, but I'm not going to get into it right now. Be sure to check out Trending Strongman. Be sure to check out a link down below for the video I released this week. I don't know if I mentioned it. Miami's Baddest Deadlift is finally live and available for everybody to see. So be sure to check that out in the description below. It's a good little compilation. You get to see some great athletes working it out in the fucking Florida heat. So be sure to check that out. If you don't, then what's your excuse?